Hello guys, and today we will combine our favorite Russian geography lessons with some logical conclusions. In times when Donald Trump keeps repeating that Ukraine cannot win just because Russia is 15 times larger, we demonstrate that this size of the Russian Federation plays against it. This night, Ukrainian drones visited Ryazan-Moscow oil pipeline. A serious blast demonstrated the success and continued strategy to paralyze Russian economy because all they can sell is their resources, oil and gas. They already experience serious gasoline crisis, and their oil refining capacities fall each day after such visits specifically. We've also destroyed 3 radars in Baltimore military air base in Voronezh, making Russian air defense even more vulnerable to more visits of Ukrainian drones and flamingos to the legitimate targets. And recently, days ago, it was very loud in the temporarily occupied Crimea when we destroyed another logistic hub of the Russian invaders. By the way, Crimea, with which this invasion began, is now a symbol of Russian constant failures. Let's discuss all of that in the video, and I ask you to share the videos if you share my opinion so that the world understands the situation a little bit better, not the way the Kremlin or sometimes the White House want to describe it. My name is Anna, I'm from Ukraine, I'm in Ukraine, and if you want to see Putin in The Hague, subscribe, we discuss all of that on the channel. You know, I'm really happy that Donald Trump was not the leader of America in times of your war for independence because actually at that time American people won against the largest empire in the world, the British Empire, just because they believed it was possible and it was necessary. The very similar thing is happening right now, especially taking into account that all, if it's possible to say so, normal empires collapsed in the 20th century, in the 19th century, and only monstrous Russian tries to survive. But it will fail because it's totally unnatural for the 21st century. And this vast Russian territory is really bad for their defense and protection. Once again, when Putin planned his blitzkrieg, he did not expect he would need to protect territories deep inside the Russian Ria. Just a year or a year and a half ago, when the Minister of Defense, Minister of Attack, was speaking, they claimed about the need to protect some frontline regions like Kursk and Belgorod. They could not imagine explosions will rock Moscow, St. Petersburg, Tatarstan, and many, many more. Deep inside Russian Ria. We can make a list of dozens of Russian regions, but let's concentrate on this most recent visits. The one to Voronezh region, military air base Baltimore. Honestly, I don't know why they picked this name, not as usual communist leaders. That is the one they often use to attack Ukraine, and we destroyed 3 radars there. Radars are super expensive, very necessary, and they protect strategic objects, and Russia does not have many of them. All the radars that they use are mainly their Soviet heritage, and by destroying them, we actually paralyze those military air bases and save a lot of innocent lives. Plus, I'm sure even those who are a bit skeptical or still believe in Russia's strengths see that their air defense is failing, and Russians are very dissatisfied with that because when they cheered for a blitzkrieg, when they accepted the need to continue the special military operation, they did not expect that this special military operation will return back home to their regions. And what is interesting that we now develop this strategy that it's not just a lonely visit of a drone for a particular location, but that is a well-planned, developed strategy to erase specific facilities in whole Russian regions. Subscribe and share to demonstrate your solidarity with Ukraine. That's the easiest way, but extremely effective. And let me know in the comments below, out of our strategies, to paralyze their airspace, to target their oil refining industry, their arsenals, what do you consider the most effective and the most interesting? So let's continue with this visit of Ukrainian drones to Ryazan-Moscow main oil pipeline. You know, we've targeted Druzhba gas pipeline, which is a very old but very important Soviet time pipeline, and now it's not operating. And of course, we keep visiting oil refineries, and just recently, Ukrainian drones paralyzed the work of Ryazan oil refinery. It is one of the largest in Russia. It produces 5% of all oil products in Russia, and most importantly, it supplies Moscow. So now we kind of polished the effect by destroying a pipeline that connected Ryazan to Moscow, and you can easily get that it was an important pipeline for oil products to travel to the capital of the evil empire. We all know that now, even in Moscow and in St. Petersburg, they feel what war is. We celebrated Ukrainian independence with fireworks in Moscow and St. Petersburg. These are two capitals of Russia, one the official, another one often described as the favorite cultural capital, or Putin's hometown. I'm speaking about St. Petersburg. By the way, they also canceled Navy Parade this August there. It's a clear demonstration of Russia's inability to defend itself. And now that we constantly visit temporarily occupied Crimea to demilitarized arsenals, hubs, logistics, because at this moment they still actively use the peninsula as a platform for further attacks. And when they wanted this Black Sea fleet to stay in Crimea even before any annexations, even before any attacks, it was the Kremlin's plan to expand. They did not know whom they want to attack: Ukraine, Georgia, I don't know, maybe even Turkey one day, but they always considered Crimea as an important element of their attack possibilities. That is another proof why the world needs Ukraine to return back Crimea home. Because I've heard people comparing Crimea to the Greenland to some extent, same as it decides a lot in the north, Crimea decides a lot in the Black Sea. And you know that Russians used it to prevent Ukraine from delivering grain, from stopping the trade, and our effective work with the destruction of their Black Sea fleet actually led to the fact that we don't need anyone's permissions. That is why when Crimea is back to Ukraine, to Ukrainian people, to Crimean Tatars, it will be a safe and good place. And trust me, every person who wants to live on a normal planet wants Crimea to return back to Ukraine. And honestly, the way they are failing with it, the fact that they needed to escape from Sevastopol, which was the headquarters of Crimea Black Sea Fleet of Russia. Please compare that, learn. That's a part of Logic's lessons that I introduced. Please learn to understand that before Russia began the war, the Russian Black Sea Fleet felt safe and sound in the Ukrainian Crimea. And after Russia annexed it, it had to escape from Crimea, it had to escape from Sevastopol, where their headquarters were destroyed and their warships were upgraded to scrap metal. And they ran to Novorossiysk, and we reached them there. And we haven't even started with flamingos. So I believe for a person to make important conclusions, especially about the fate of a nation, the fate of Europe, the fate of world, it's super important to possess some knowledge and to analyze the situation, to compare the things as they were in 2013, 2014, 2022, 2025. And trust me, right now Ukraine is way stronger and Russia is way weaker than it was back in 2022. So no matter what some people say, we are determined to defeat, demilitarize Russia. That is the only working plan. And if you want to understand more about how the Kremlin sees the world, watch my recent video on Anna Danilchuk channel, where I analyze how Putin plays with Trump. And believe me, that's important. A lot of useful arguments that you can use talking with the people who still believe, once again, that Putin is seeking for peace and that's why he keeps attacking Ukraine, or that Trump knows what he's doing when he is not. I love you very much. Remember to subscribe to my other social media platforms: X, Instagram, Blue Sky, Threads, Discord. The link in the description of this video, same as the link to our merch shop, where you can find a lot of good products that work well as reminders and conversation starters about Ukraine. Thank you so much for buying me coffee, becoming my patrons and sponsors of the channel, but most importantly, thank you for standing with Ukraine. Slava Ukraini!